cumulative frequency graph. So we've had a survey taken, and these are our results. Now remember, the cumulative frequency gives the total, running total of frequency. So if I wanted to work out how many people have spent £100 or less, then I would read up from 100 and I would read along. So it's not how many have just spent 100, it's £100 or less. That's what we mean by our running total. £60 or less would be about 20 people. Okay, so if we want to work out the median, we do something very similar to that, but actually now we work out how much has been spent by so the sort of the middle kind of family. So 50% will have spent less, and 50% would have spent more. So if we've got 200 people, we're going to be looking at the 100 mark, and we read along. And I would advise you add a little dotted line, or even a ruler, a pencil straight line on your graph. And then we read down, and we can see that's pretty much right in the middle. So the median is going to be £90. So that means half the family spent more than £90 and half spent less. Interquartile range. The interquartile range is found by doing the upper quartile minus the lower quartile. And what it gives you is the spread between, so we've talked about the median being the middle one, but it actually gives you this spread here between you've got 25% of people here, same again, and same again. This gives a good idea of, you might get some extremes on either here, but it gives you a good idea of the middle 50%. So to work out the upper quartile, we don't look at the middle value, we look at the 3/4 value, and that's going to be at 150 because I'm basically doing 3/4 of 200, and that gives me 150. I can now read along. Again, that's pretty much on 100, so I'm going to go with that. Some leniency will be given. And then for the lower quartile, do very similar, but now it's going to be 1/4 of 200, or 50. I can read along there. And that looks about 77, because this is 70 here, and I'm going up in twos, so I think either 77 or 78. Subtract them, and that gives me 22. Done. I found my interquartile range from the 25% to the 75% is worth £22. Right, Ikra says 15% of these families spent over £120. Is her statement correct? State the evidence you've used in making your decision. So we need to do some calculations here. Well, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to think about this. So remember, cumulative frequency tells us about the people spending an amount or below. So I need to change this into 85% of the families, equivalent to 85% spent under £120. And then I'm going to, what is 85% of 200? Well, 10% is going to be 20. So that means that 80% is going to be 160. 5% is going to be 10. So 85% is going to be 170. So I'm going to work out, what am I doing here? I'm going to work out what 15% of the families are spending over, essentially. So if I go up so it was 170 people, I can read along from 170. Okay, and I get to about here. So this is 110. I've gone one square along, so that's going to be 112. So no, she is incorrect. 15% spent over £112. It would be a lower percentage for £120. That's one way of doing this question. You could have done this in a different way. You could have sort of found the percentage that have spent over £120 by finding, basically you'd have to read up from 120, get the number of people, work out the difference, because remember these number of people would be that had spent 120 or below. So work out the difference between 200 and that, and then write that down as a percentage of 200. That will tell you the percentage that have in fact spent £120 or above, and it would be less than 15%. So you could make the conclusion from that. I think those are the two main ways of doing this. You could try and look. Yeah, I would go with those two. My only other thing is just like you have to remember to sort of subtract. So you could do it another way by yes, sorry. So when I did it, I did 85% under £120. That was equivalent. Like you could have done this by finding 15% of these families spend over £120. I could have sort of read immediately down from here instead. If I worked out that 15% was equal to 30 people, then I could have read along the graph instead of doing this extra calculation. So that could be a little bit quicker. But in any case, the answer is no, and you just need some evidence to be able to solve that. Right, last little bit. We've got, we're comparing with the families in the south, and they've got median of 85 and interquartile range of 28. So how can we compare them? So we're comparing 84 with 90. We can see that people in the north are actually spending more on their food every week. So people tend to spend more in the north. And we need to give evidence, so higher median, 90 instead of 84. Okay, so that's one thing to compare. Interquartile range, the spread in the north is less. The interquartile range is a measure of spread. It's not the range itself, but it is a very good measure of spread because it eliminates some of the extremes. And I just need to write as my evidence lower interquartile range. Okay, so I've got my statement, I've got my evidence. As long as you're writing similar things to this, I mean, it's jumping out that we need to write about the median and interquartile range, then you'll be sorted.